Welcome back to the Alan Nathan Show. I'm your guest host today, John Hayward, Deputy National Security Editor with Breitbart News. The Attorney General of Utah has terminated his state's contract with a law firm called Motley Rice that has been criticized as a foot soldier in the Battle of Woke Lawfare, a left-wing law firm that has been instrumental in using the legal system to advance a political agenda. Here with us to talk about it is O.H. Skinner, Executive Director for the Alliance for Consumers, previously served in the office of Arizona's State Attorney General as the state's lead counsel in the U.S. Supreme Court. Welcome to the Alan Nathan Show.
Hi, John. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. This seems like a big deal. Motley Rice is a very big firm, and for Utah to have terminated their contract with them is a major step against this hyper-politicization of lawfare. Is this good news for the country?
This is hugely great news. I mean, the real lesson here is that these law firms that have spent so much of their time working with left-wing cities and left-wing counties and crazy wackadoo places, they really started to turn some of these consumer protection cases into a money game, and they got a bunch of unaware conservatives to sign them up, and we're starting to see that wake up, right? There's no reason for our side to be using the same foot soldiers that, Boulder and Baltimore and all these weird towns use, and so we shouldn't be doing it. These are 99% donors to Democrats, and they push radical agendas, and our team should never be working with their team.
This seems like a common pitfall at a state level and at the national level, too, thinking especially of President Trump's first term, when he came in and was surprised to discover how much of the bureaucracy, how much of Washington, and how many private consultants and outside firms were all hyper-politicized towards the left and basically out to sabotage him.
Yeah, it's a real thing. I mean, what people need to understand is that the left's big plan after losing so many elections is to use the courts to change American society, right? And that comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes. But as a consumer protection group, what really worries us is all these lawsuits that are designed to take away whatever products the left doesn't want you to have and to punish companies so that they toe the line on left-wing agendas. And they're using these law firms like Motley Rice that are 99% donors to Democrats at the federal level, that push ideological ballot measures in states. I mean, there's a lot about this where we need to wake up, because this lawfare isn't just about stopping the president's agenda. It's about reshaping American society while you don't even notice it.
It sounds like the politicization of corporate America was a two-pronged attack. On the one hand, you had the attack from within of people who were woke that became executives and consultants and so on at the companies and began politicizing them. But then you have this phenomenon you're talking about, law firms using lawsuits to basically bully corporations into towing the left-wing line. And it's now well understood in corporate America that if you don't want to spend all day in court, you're going to have to do and say certain things.
I mean, it's literally exactly what they did. I mean, there's this famous instance of Cohen Milstein, another one of these shady trial law firms that we talk about, suing Google over something, almost 10 years ago now. And their solution was to get Google to commit $1 billion to DEI inside Google, right? What the law firm wanted was to unlock money for left-wing causes, right? And that's what you're seeing left, right, and center is these 99% donors to Democrat law firms punishing corporations, pushing corporate America. And the name of the game is to unlock money for those left-wing nonprofits, that left-wing web of stuff that you saw the federal government defund, right? It's all part of the same maneuver, which is pump money into the vascular system of this left-wing takeover machine.
This is a technique that has roots that go back into the 1980s. I remember as a kid in the 80s, and you started hearing all these stories about pressure campaigns from organized political groups, and they were always shaking money out of corporations. They were always getting funding for themselves and funding for their favorite political causes and their candidates and so on. And they would do it by threatening to sue the heck out of corporations, usually over racism or sexism or something. And it just accelerated. And then throughout the 90s and the 2000s, it became the way things are done.
Yes, I mean, this is basically the way to think about it, is the trial lawyers are suing companies to shake out money to feed into the political machine. And then on the other hand, you see the lawsuits, whatever they're about, right? And right now, one of the most common ones is to sue companies over climate change. What do they really want? They want the companies to hand over billions of dollars to these left-wing nonprofits. And, one of the guys got caught the other day. You'll appreciate it. He got caught on a video saying the whole plan here is to use courts to impose a carbon tax. We're not going to let any of these businesses go out of business. We're just going to make sure that they're taken over like a bankruptcy trustee and they serve their creditors. Well, what he means is turn them into basically a Bernie takeover of industries to serve what the left wants, right? So you're right. It's a multi-pronged strategy. And the loser in all of it is everyday people, especially conservatives, who just want to buy what their family needs.
The Trump administration just won a spectacular victory against the global carbon tax at the United Nations, and it was something nobody thought they could pull off, but they did it. Did that surprise you that they were able to defeat the first attempt to impose a global carbon tax?
It did surprise me only insofar as how fast they were at being successful, but it's a real lesson that, like, some of this stuff, the populace is turning against a lot of it, right? The main reason that the left is turning to courtrooms is because they keep losing at the ballot box, right? You can't point to a single place where this stuff is passing at a broad level, anywhere outside of left-wing little enclaves, right? So on the one hand, it was impressive how fast they did it. On the other hand, it's further proof that, like, the only people who are interested in this are the activists, which is why they're going to have to rely on the courts.
Now, there's a lot more of this to come. I mean, there are a lot of other groups like Motley Rice. They're still around. They're just not going to do business with Utah anymore. There has to be some kind of institutional reform we could put in place that would make lawfare less of a fact in our lives.
Yes, and I think that what it's going to take is a lot of states coming together and saying, we're going to push back on lawfare. We're going to treat it like a concerted effort, and we're going to basically, pull out a lawfare protection package and start to really try to bulletproof their states from these lawfare efforts, because at the end of the day, the left's going to keep coming, right? It's great that Motley Rice has gone from Utah. Utah Attorney General Derek Brown deserves all the praise in the world. Everybody should email his office. But, we've got to do something broader to protect our states.
A lot of corporations are just going to look at these kind of threats and say, what do I have to pay to make this go away? And I'm sure a lot of these lawfare attacks are settled out of court before the company suffers embarrassment.
That used to happen, and luckily what you're starting to see is that conservatives are tapping corporate America on the shoulder and saying, we're going to hold you to account too. This isn't a one-way street. Because at the end of the day, corporate America just needs to be in the middle, right? That's the real goal. They should be selling things to people who want to buy things. That's their job, right? But at the end of the day, we as conservatives need to really think holistically about how to protect our states from lawfare, how to put in place lawfare protection packages, because otherwise the left's just going to keep coming to the courtroom.
It's such a difference from the way it was even a single generation ago. If you're old enough to remember, everything is so much more politicized now than it used to be. There's just no escape from it. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I mean, the end goal is we've got to protect ourselves because we don't want it to be politicized, and the left is the one that's planning to do the work through the courtrooms.
O.H. Skinner, Executive Director of the Alliance for Consumers. Thanks very much for joining us today. I'm John Hayward, Deputy National Security Editor for Breitbart News, sitting in for Alan today. Thanks very much for joining us on this hour of the Alan Nathan Show.